What's up, Dragon Brood? We are back for day 3 of previews. Today is January 28th, 2022. I had to check a calendar. Actually, it's 29th. See, that's why I had to check the calendar. 2022. And we have some more cards. It's a very small day of previews today. Maybe because Wizards knew it was Royal Rumble Day. But maybe not. Maybe coincidence. But anyway, there's just a handful of cards. But we want to make sure we cover them all. So this isn't going to be a long video. Let's just go get into it. All right, because there's so few cards today, we're just going to cover every single one of them because, just a handful of them. But here we have Tempered in Solitude. It's a colorless and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, exile the top card of your library, you may play this card this turn. This is a cool card. I kind of like this in the sense that, like, there are some times you're only attacking with one thing, or maybe against a controlling type deck, you're only getting to attack with one real creature. The other is kind of incidental for a point of damage or whatever. Maybe it's worth it for you to do this. I don't know if we're in a world, there's been a few things that mention like attacking alone, so I assume there's going to be some things set up where that's possible. Maybe where we have the new mechanic where you can put your enchantment creatures on another creature, reconfigure. I think it's possible that maybe there's a reconfigure deck where you're like stacking stuff up and making a Voltron, so to speak, and then attacking with it. Like, that could be a thing. I don't really know. But this feels like the type of thing that if there's a deck that uses that mechanic heavily, this could be a important player for that deck. But outside of that, I think it's going to have some pretty limited uses. All right, Bamboo Grove Archer. It is a colorless and a green for a 3/3 enchantment creature, Snake Archer. Defender and reach. It has channel of 4 and a green. You can discard this card, destroy target creature with flying. This one's a little tough, right? Because it has reach, and that's awesome. But it also has defender. But it is a 3/3 for 2. That's not nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's and here's the other thing too, right? If the enchantment based deck is a thing, well, having a reasonably costed enchantment creature is kind of fine. And if nothing else, it's a 3/3 blocker against the aggro decks. That's a real size body, to be honest. I think overall this is fine-ish. I don't think it's going to go into a lot of decks, though, is the thing. I think there's going to be maybe a deck that wants this. Otherwise, it's just kind of a reasonable card for limited play. All right, Banishing Slash. White, sorcery. Destroy up to one target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature. Then, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. Wow, this is okay. So, the first half, you can destroy an artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature for 2 mana, which is pretty good. Having that versatility on a card, now it is double white, but having that versatility on a card to do all those things means it's rarely going to be a dead card. Then, if you also control an artifact and an enchantment, you make a 2/2. Which, I don't know how difficult that's going to be yet. We have seen a lot of enchantments in this preview already. We've seen several artifacts. So I think this is going to go into quite... And remember, there's also creatures that count as enchantments. So it actually is pretty possible they're going to meet the requirements here. And if so, think about this. We're going to have a card, granted at sorcery speed, that for 2 mana could potentially kill a creature and make you a creature. Or destroy their best artifact or enchantment and make you a creature. Right? That's a pretty strong value for 2 mana. So, yeah, I think this card can be playable. Like, again, I feel like I have to see more of the set first. But this does feel like a card that's usable for sure. Lion Sash, a colorless and a white, artifact creature, equipment, cat, 1/1. Okay, so it's one of those creatures that can become an equipment or whatever. Pay 1 white, exile a target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, put a +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash. Whoa! Okay, and then equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash. And it has reconfigure of just 2. What? This card is good. Like, randomly, also fits into some cat decks for those of you that have those cat decks. But this is really, really good. Okay, one, you just get to remove stuff from your opponent's graveyard every turn if you want to or whatever. Actually, from any graveyard, not even your opponent's. And then if you remove a thing that was a permanent, which is basically creatures and whatnot, then you get this creature bigger. However, you could also just move this over to something else as an equipment and then attack with. Like, and here's the thing. I just bumped the microphone. Like, here's another thing, right? Thinking about a card like this. Let's say you play it over a couple of turns. You get this to like a 4/4 or something. You can then move it to another creature, attack with that thing being +3/+3, right? And then when it dies, you get a Lion Slash back because it wasn't a creature. It went from being an equipment to being a creature again, and it already still has its counters on it. Like this card, I'm going to feel bad if I'm wrong, because this card should be absolutely playable. Like, this is the best of the equipment creature things we've seen. I thought those little Dragon Blade or Lizard Blade things or whatever were kind of cool, but Lion Slash is really good. Like, wow. Wow, this card's really good. Every time I'm looking at it, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm impressed by it. Which means I could be totally wrong. But no, this card actually looks really, really good. Now, does it go into traditional, like, white weenie, white aggro decks? I don't necessarily think so. But, you know, definitely post-rotation. But that's still, what, 8-9 months from now, right? But it's possible that this could still go in those decks just to have a way to, like, keep stuff from coming back from the graveyards and whatnot, because that may be a sub-theme. Also, just to keep giving you, I guess, that longevity for the game, to be able to go those extra turns. Like, this is a really good card. Really good. Maybe it does go in the white aggro decks. I mean, this might go into almost anything that's being aggressive and white. But, man, I actually had a clan joke there that was about to be hilarious, but I'm going to save that for myself, and I'm going to giggle on the inside. But anyway, yeah, Lion Slash. This card, this is good. This is really neat. Like, there's a lot going on with this card, for sure. All right, and this looks like the last preview of the day. Naomi, Pillar of Order. 3 black-white for a 4/4. Legendary creature, Human Advisor. Whenever Naomi, Pillar of Order enters the battlefield or attacks, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. All right, so this is kind of something else, right? We've sort of seen stuff care about samurais and warriors in red and white, and now you have stuff that cares about samurais, but also artifacts and enchantments in black and white. So, not sure what that means or how we're going to build these decks out. But this is a reasonable sized creature, 4/4. Could potentially also get you another creature, so you could be paying 5 mana for 6/6 effectively, a 4/4 and a 2/2, which is kind of nice. And the token has vigilance, which is also cool. So yeah, this card seems alright. It's an uncommon. You know, you're only expecting so much out of it, being legendary, but again, if we have the decks that can sustain some number of enchantments alongside the artifacts, this could be very good. And yeah, that's it. This was actually kind of a short day today, which is good, but that also means probably once we get to Monday, we're going to start hammering Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday very hard. We're probably going to see, 20 cards a day or whatever until we get to the end of the week. But yeah, the Sash, really cool. What was it? Naomi, I think was the last card there. That seems really cool. So even for just 5 cards, this at least filled in some gaps for like, what are the colors trying to do? What can we be expecting in the rest of the preview season? And I think there's still something to be said for that, right? Like, we're always looking for like the big cards, but going through a preview season when we're trying to make predictive guesses or decide what singles we want to buy, or what cards we're going to craft when it launches or whatever, these are the type of cards that kind of set our expectations a little bit. Kind of how we like, okay, red, white wants warriors and samurais, and maybe even to some extent pilots for the vehicles, but black, white wants to have artifacts and enchantments, and now apparently has things that make samurai, right? So is there a Mardu deck that goes all samurai and all the ways to get them or whatever, right? Or do you keep them separate, right? Those are the things we're going to have to really look at and talk about as the next couple days of previews come out. But yeah, this continues on. I think we've seen 1 or 2 cards that I really just kind of went bleh over the first 3 days. But so far, this set looks very cool. And I have to admit, wasn't really big on the Kamigawa stuff the first time around, but definitely interested in the cards, if nothing else, this time around. But anyway, let me know how you felt about today's previews. Is there anything you plan to do with these cards? Do they fit in any decks you already own? Not even worried about new stuff that's coming? Also, don't forget, if you'd like to support the channel, please check out our memberships. And if you can't do that, at least remember to like, subscribe, share, all that wonderful stuff, because that helps out so very much, and I really appreciate it. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.